You're listening to the Happy Doc Student Podcast, a podcast dedicated to providing clarity to the often mysterious doctoral process. Do you feel like you're losing your mind? Let me and my guests show you how to put more joy in your journey and graduate with your sanity, health, and relationships intact. I'm your host, Dr. Heather Frederick, and today I welcome Samaya. A Chicago firefighter, Samaya is currently pursuing her PhD in Integrative Medicine. With a background in kinesiology, holistic nutrition, and multiple other certifications in healing modalities, she understands how to naturally heal the body from emotional and physical challenges. We were chatting before the show, and Samaya, I'm so excited to have you on today and share with my listeners the amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you, Heather, so much. I'm so happy to be here. I feel like it's been like a long way in the making, right? And it's so exciting to be here.
I am so excited to have you on as well. Why don't we spend a couple minutes with you introducing yourself to the audience and telling them how you got to be where you are today?
Absolutely. So, well, as you heard, I'm a Chicago firefighter. And before that, I was a kinesiologist. I worked at University of Illinois, Chicago, taking athletes, making them better athletes. Before that, I was in the Army and in school. So I say all that because I had a lot of masculine energy and I have merged my masculine and feminine energy sides into my one physical being so that they can cohabitate together. But it was not an easy journey. You know, the journey never ends, but I'm at a great place at this point in my life from understanding energy and how we can use that to create our reality.
And if you're listening and you're like, hang on, masculine energy, feminine energy, what energy? I'll start by saying, I'm going to put links to the episodes where we've dappled in energy and how important this is to understand, not just because you're in a doctoral program with a goal that you want to finish, but because you're living in a human body. So this information really is relevant to anyone. Would you agree, Samaya?
Yes. If you are anything on this planet, living or not living, it's relevant.
So why don't we start with this idea of energy? Let's just bring it back to the basics. Energy 101. Where do you start with people to help them understand this concept so they can use it to totally transform their lives?
Okay. So I always use one of two. I'm going to use both scenarios today. Let's say you're listening to the radio, old school radio. You got to turn the dial and you want to listen to 69.9 and you're on 69.8. Okay. Those are frequencies coming into your radio station. Your antenna, which I'll get back to, your antenna is picking up that frequency and it's going to be staticky because it's not quite there. It's close, but it's not quite there. So what you're picking up, it's not going to sound great. You're going to be like, oh, it's a little off. And if you were at 69.7, it would be even more off. And if you were at 69.0, it would be even more off and you wouldn't like it because you're looking for a very specific frequency. Your body does the same thing. It's looking for specific frequencies to keep you in balance. That's it. When you experience any kind of misalignment, so disease, illness, fear, anger, those are all frequency imbalances. And so going back to the antenna, all the hair on your body is actually an antenna. So it's super cool. You should not shave. I do, but you should have all the hair in your body because it acts as antenna, especially the ones on your face, your arms, when you feel like scared, or the ones on the back of your neck. They're receiving information from all around you. And of course, the closer in proximity a very strong energy is, the more those hairs will pick up and they'll stand up because they're alerting you to something. It's like the subconscious knowing all of a sudden. And they're going to pick up this energy and give you a physical feeling alongside with an emotion. So for example, if you walk into a room and you're about to get jump scared or something, it's like your hairs already know, your body already knows. They stand up. You'll get that chill and then you get scared. I mean, it feels kind of all one and the same, but that happens first, and then your body reacts with the emotion. Same as if like you're just falling in love with someone and you get the flutters in your heart and you can't quite describe what that feeling is. It's this essence, just this feeling, right? This feeling that your body just goes through this morphosis of shifting and changing, and like you can't quite put a finger on it, but you know the feeling, and it's the energy you're picking up. So energy is all around us. It's everything, quite literally. And when we can harness the idea of what energy can do for us, we can use it to our advantage. So if you've delved into quantum physics at all, you'll know that the energy outside of us, not the physical body, but the energies outside of us move very fast. Speed of light, probably faster. They're constantly zipping around. But once you choose something and you bring it into your consciousness, your awareness, it becomes part of your physical body. And now it becomes dense and it's much slower moving. So let's say you are constantly choosing fear. Like, I'm afraid I'm going to fail a test. I'm afraid I'm not going to pass this class. I'm afraid that this is going to be too hard. I'm afraid I won't get a job. I'm afraid blah, blah, blah. I'm worried. I'm afraid. I'm scared. All that becomes physical, dense energy in your body. So it becomes your reality because it's not moving at the speed of light. And it will settle into certain organs. But the same goes for I choose love every day. I choose gratitude every day. That's also the same thing. So I'm sure your listeners have heard of the snowflake experiment by Dr. Masaru Emoto. And the two most beneficial words were love and gratitude. Without a shadow of a doubt, they were always perfectly symmetrical snowflakes. So just infusing love and gratitude into your water. So the water has vibrational qualities. You're sending love and gratitude energy into the water, and the water accepts that vibration. It ripples. You don't really see it, but it ripples. And then you drink that water, it becomes you. So that's another way of maybe more visually seeing how energy can become you. Same with food. The more alive a food is, the more positive energy you receive because it gets energy from the sun, and that sun brings life to the plant. So let's say you're growing a strawberry. The strawberry gets beautiful and big from the sunlight, from the energy, from the frequency of the sun. You take that in as a live food, it becomes part of you. And on the reverse side, if you decide to eat non-food food, like a Cheeto that was made in a factory with non-food items, you're taking this dead, less frequency food item into your body, and it's becoming denser. So everything is frequency, everything is energy. And when you start to choose more in the alignment of the frequency and reality you want to experience, the more you will experience that and want more of it.
You've said so much there that I would love to comment on. First and foremost, if you're listening and you're thinking, this sounds a little woo-woo, some of this is resonating, some of it isn't, but this foundational principle, everything is energy. Whenever I'm talking to someone that goes, I'm not really that into the chakras. This sounds like that stuff, are we going to start chanting soon? Which, by the way, is very effective. I've got episodes on that. All that aside, I usually say, can you think of a time that you walked into a room or you had a gut feeling, or think about people when you're around them and then you leave them and you just feel down and like you've picked up this yuckiness, and then there's people who you want to be around and you can never get enough of them because every time you leave you feel light and you feel happy, and to just start paying attention to the energy around you and how it's impacting you, right? So just, hey, if this is sounding weird, then I say, okay, that's cool. Do your own experiment. Start paying attention to how things impact you. Start paying attention to how you feel when you eat live food versus non-live food. pay attention to how you feel when you're steeped in emotions like fear or worry or anxiety versus spend a day being gracious, right? I once had a faculty member say something like, it's like you're marinating in those things. Say you go into a toxic work situation or a relationship situation where the energy isn't aligned with who you are and who you want to be. It's as if you're marinating in it. You can't help but soak in some of that stuff and really think about it. Not just, they made me feel a little down, but that it's actually transformative in terms of your body, your physical organs. This is such an important point.
Absolutely. It's similar to, and I don't know if any of your listeners study homeopathics, but homeopathics is all based on frequency. It's really a placebo with intention. But it works. It works better than actual medication. And that's been proven over and over and over again. And so has the experiment done by, I think it was Stanford. I could be botching that one, but during pre-9/11, they put out all around the world these sensors that detect emotional frequency changes. And right before 9/11 happened, there was a huge spike, which was around the world. And then during big world movements, there was spikes before the event happened, like right before. So our bodies pick up these frequencies before our logical mind can process them, because our brain is just the processor. It's just sending information out and receiving it back in to make the demands or the commands. And so our gut tells us more because it's got more cells, it's got more hairy fibers to give us more information. And that will give us the more intuitive sense of what's really happening before our brain can logically understand it. And then we try to use our brain to logically reason out of whatever our subconscious is thinking, like, well, that doesn't make sense. But the homeopathics and the studies that they've done, Stanford's doing all these studies on frequency and the woo-woo sciences, as we'll call it, because it's real. And if you try to figure out, what happens to your body when you die, or, what happens to these organs when they get harvested from someone and put into another body, and then that person takes on their characteristics. This has happened over and over and over again. You know that there's something besides the physical body holding who we are, our essence. Our essence is all around us. It's the bigger part of our makeup. It's not just the physical or the emotional or the mental. It's all of it is our essence. And that cannot really be quantified at this point in time with the technology that we have to study.
And because I know my audience is highly cognitive, I'm going to say I will have links to the show notes to the HeartMath Institute. They publish a lot on those generators that you're talking about. I find fascinating that organization, heavily science-based. The book that you reference, The Hidden Secrets of Water, I think it's called. I have it on my bookshelf. Yes. For those of you who want to dive deeper into this snowflake experiment where words were spoken to water and then frozen and examined, again, if you need to rationalize things, we'll put some stuff in the show notes. But this idea that we can become more intuitive, we can become more open to understanding our energy and how it's impacting our reality. Are there tips or techniques you give to people who are maybe so entrenched in running a program at a lower frequency? Someone who's been anxious. Some of my listeners, maybe they've been in a doctoral program for 3, 4, 5 years, and they've had years of feeling anxious and feeling uncomfortable when it comes to thinking about this huge goal that they're investing in. Where do you start, or some of your favorite techniques to share?
So I hope I'm not killing the time needle here, but for your audience, I was getting my master's degree in kinesiology, running a human performance lab, working 8 hours a day, working out way too much, major anxiety, got diagnosed with MS. And so I had to really shift gears. At first, I was a little hesitant. Like, no, I don't want to change my lifestyle. But I had to change at least my thinking and my thought processes. And the one thing I started with was box breathing. And I did 1 minute a day. And within a week, I noticed like, wait a second, I'm a little calmer today. So, box breathing is, and you can of course change the time sequence of it. But if you just think of a box, so if you're going up the square, you're breathing in, and then across the box is holding, and then down the box is exhaling, and across the bottom is holding again. So I do 4, 4, 4, 4. You might have heard of it as that too. So you would inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. And you do that for a minute. And it was a big catalyst in changing the trajectory of my life.
I love that you shared this because it's simple. It's fast. There's research to back it up. They teach us to the Navy SEALs. I mean, right? This is a no joke technique. Would you be willing to bring us through a few rounds so that everyone who's listening can actually have the experience of it right now?
Absolutely. I'd love to. So you want to sit upright. You don't have to be really straight, but just upright. Because when you breathe in, you want to start by breathing the air down like you're filling a pitcher of water. So the water would start from the bottom and rise up. So you want to think at the base of your pubic bone, and then it's going to go all the way up to your collarbone. So we're going to do a 4-second in, and that's a lot of air to fill up all of that. But you don't want to just chest breathe. We need the belly to expand, the rib cage to pull out. So we'll do that. It's all through the nose, not the mouth. So just take a regular breath in and out. And then here we go. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Again. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3. One more time. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then resume normal breathing. So you would do that 2 or 3 more times, and then you'd be done for the day. It's great when you get up to bring focus back into your brain. It's good for going to sleep. I actually still use that to sometimes go to sleep because of my firefighter job. Sleep is all up. So I'll sometimes still use that to get myself back to sleep. And it does help you just focus on what you're doing, the counting. It gets you kind of out of the monkey mind.
The reason I love that one is for exactly what you said. My mind will default to hamster wheel type thinking. And so first thing in the morning, listeners, think about it. If instead of jumping out of bed and already feeling like you're behind the 8 ball, what if you took 1 minute? This is not a big investment. And I think that's why sometimes people don't do it. They think, come on, really a minute? But yes, really a minute.
Yeah, really.
Before you get out of bed, try your box breath. If 4 isn't working for you, try a different number, right? 3, 5, whatever
Some
works.
7. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever works for you before you get out of bed, and you will experience this. It's almost like I feel when I do something like that or a different breathing technique before I get out of bed, I feel like my day is automatically blessed. Like I'm automatically thinking of all the reasons I'm happy to be alive versus getting up and feeling my heart racing while I'm walking to the bathroom. The moment you wake up, there's a fork in the road, right? Which path are you going to choose today? The one of ease and grace or the one of compression, stress, anxiety, and overwhelm?
Exactly. I choose peace. I didn't before.
Oh, trust me. Samaya, I'm right there with you. For decades, I didn't. I did not have the health challenges you did, but my body did start talking to me. That's how I describe it. I always say to people when they come to me and say, oh, I've got this, that, or the other thing, and I've had this test done, no one can find anything, quote unquote, wrong with me, right? Maybe there's not a clear physical marker. You did have clear physical markers. Either way, whether the tests are showing something or not, your body is saying something to you. And dear listener, I say, please listen. Please listen. This energy that we're talking about can have a real physical impact and manifest in a real physical way. Insomnia, back pain, the list goes on, truly. You are able to heal yourself through the understanding of energy. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, I was in the same boat as probably your listeners are now, where like, just go, full speed ahead. Don't get in my way. I can do it all. I can take it all on. And, I practice and preach this now because I was diagnosed with MS, in hopes that other people won't have to go to the depths that I went to. And I am not the only person who is healed from it with understanding energy. It's not just the food you take in. It's not just the exercise, because that was my world for the longest time. And there's a depth to which that can go, and it stops. You need to go deeper, and that's always the emotional body. That's always where everything lies, because your stress stems from your emotions. If you're holding on to anger or fear or frustration or anxiety or even sadness, you're going to continue to experience the same cycles of illness or disease that you're experiencing, but they'll get worse and worse over time. So they're just kind of like knocking at your door. I had a lot of stuff going on. I just ignored it. I'm like, just keep going. Just keep going. I was working out 8 hours a day at one point. This, don't suggest that for anybody. But, it's the late night studying and then getting up early for classes and all the things and trying to be a perfect student. Just be perfect for you, which there's no such thing as perfect, but you have to take care of yourself, because you're in the field of helping other people. If you're getting a doctorate, whatever you're getting your doctorate in, doesn't matter. It's to help other people. And you can't help if you're needing help also, like to a great degree of really needing help, because at some point the wheels come off the bus and you're going to find out, if you don't start taking care of it now, you're going to find out how much work it is to take care of down the road. So, tackle it now before it gets really far down the road where you're stranded in the desert with no tires on your car.
Yeah, you can't pour from an empty cup is something that I remind myself all the time. And whether you're interested in pursuing different types of techniques like the box breath for a healing purpose or a preventative purpose, right? Either way, you're going to get benefits. But Tracy, you said something that I want to dig a little deeper with. You talked about processing emotions, processing traumas. And before we started recording, you were sharing a free offer that we'll explain to the guests. People might think or might say, I think I'm pretty good. I feel like I've done a lot of work. I think I've processed my emotions, but I still have these things going on, or these patterns keep repeating. Would you share what you're doing in terms of helping diagnose where the issues are and where some of the balancing needs to occur?
Yes. So, this is never a one size fits all approach. So if someone says, I have the answer for you, I mean, maybe they do. So I may not resonate with you, and that's totally okay. Maybe I will down the road. Maybe I never will. That's totally okay. There's so many different ways to unpackage what you have going on. But I always tell people, look at your cycles. For example, I had a really big issue with being impatient, and I finally had to take a really hard, long look and say, okay, yeah, this impatience keeps showing up, and why? I had to understand the why, where it came from. Sometimes it's yours, sometimes it's not. So sometimes it's ancestral, and this is going back into the energy. I won't get too deep into that. which means it's not yours if it's ancestral. And sometimes it's yours because it came from childhood, something you learned, a belief that got instilled in you. And it's becoming best friends with it. With my clients, we do a lot of unpackaging. It happens over weeks and weeks and months. Because I thought I was doing really good, and then something else would bubble up, and then like, oh, I'm great, I'm good now. Oh, that's funny. The universe laughed at me and said, no, here's some more. We're going to keep uncovering.
It's truly an onion, isn't it? You peel off each layer. You peel off each layer and celebrate that peeling of the layer, and then get ready for the next one.
Yep. It does not end. It just gets easier. So I have a coaching program, but I have a device because it's not hands-on. We don't even need to get on the phone or anything. A device that will measure the frequencies in your voice. This is the free offer. The frequencies in your voice that will determine the imbalances in your body based on your emotions, based on the notes in your voice. So I get a 12-second voice clip from you. The device measures over 6,000 notes. And from those notes can determine what emotions are out of balance, majorly out of balance, and what it's affecting in your body. And then we'll give you a playlist to listen to help balance you back in. And the playlists they're fantastic. I do this every day for myself. And we'll also give you suggestions for rebalancing your body. And they're usually things like drink more water. Like mine today was increase your trace minerals. So I probably need some more salt in my diet, some sodium in my diet, and whatever other trace minerals I'm missing at the moment, because I'm probably overhydrated actually. But sometimes it's just as simple as, getting more rest, or seeing a chiropractor, or eat more fruits and vegetables, or breathe cleaner air. So it's not always these big, complicated things. We're really simple creatures if we look back into nature and see that, 200 years ago, we didn't have the technology. If you were having a gallbladder attack, you couldn't just go get it removed. You had to figure out how to deal with it naturally. And it's always an emotion. So you would have a shaman or medicine woman or medicine man come in and help you heal yourself. But you have to do the work. You can't rely on other people to fix it for you, because you will just fall back into the same patterns. So this inner voice analysis scan will help you see the hidden layers in your voice. And it's quite shockingly accurate. The first time I had it done, I was like, ooh, are you like looking through my windows? Like, what's going on here? But then you can, take an honest look at yourself. And you don't want to take an honest look at yourself, then just don't listen to what I'm saying right now. But if you're ready to shift so that you don't get sick or under more stress, now is the time.
And I think it's so important that you bring up, there are many different modalities that can help people heal. And I love that. I love that there's so much diversity. And there may be people listening that go, well, I find this interesting, but And then there's going to be people going, wait, where's the link? Sign me up.
Right.
I want my voice. I want my voice read. I want you to help me understand how to align and rebalance the things that are maybe outside of my conscious awareness, even, right? Because some of these are just things happening below the level where we could actually articulate it in words.
That was very well said. Yes.
And you mentioned a playlist. So music. Listeners, most people will say, yes, you're right. If I'm really down, I have a go-to song, or there's certain music that puts me in a certain mood because it's a vibration, because it's a frequency, because you're picking up on it. I think that's so neat that you take the results of the inner voice information and then give a playlist to help someone rebalance. Again, pretty basic. Some of the stuff you're sharing. Hey, rehydrate, get some more sleep. But sometimes things that we frequently neglect.
Mm-hmm. The sleep thing, for sure. It's on a surface level, it's the breathing, it's the sleep, and it's the water. If we can balance those really well, you're doing pretty good. But then the emotions will affect those three things. So if you don't understand the emotions you're having and how they're affecting you, you're going to lose sleep because you're anxious. You're going to be, dehydrated. You're not going to be breathing well if you're always angry or anxious or sad. Your quality of breath is not going to be there. And if you're sad or if you're not confident, you're going to be hunched over more. So that will affect your breathing, right? So they're simple, but if you don't understand the basics of them and how to get better quality, then you're going to continue not getting quality sleep, not getting quality water or breath, and the cycle will continue.
So super simple. Let's start there, everyone. Take quick stock of, are you hydrated? Are you drinking something other than Red Bull and coffee? Are you getting enough sleep? Boy, that's a tough one, right? Burning the candle at both ends. I know I have listeners that will say, I'm lucky if I get 4 hours, but then I argue, to what end? Because now you're making mistakes. Now you're getting sick and you're having to take time off work. Prioritizing your sleep and spending some time doing some simple breath exercises and becoming aware. I know for me, sometimes I'll realize I'm taking really short breaths if something's going on. And the way I recognize it is I have a mindfulness bell app on my phone that goes off every 15 minutes. It's this tiny little chime. It's not really disruptive. But when it goes off, I take stock and I'm like, wow, I don't think I've had a deep breath since the last time that sucker went off. I'm trying to get a deadline done or whatever chore I'm working on. So start with those 3 basic things. And would you agree that if you're doing those 3 things, it's so much easier to have thoughts around gratitude and grace and ease versus the other ones that we seem to be so stuck in these days?
Absolutely. I mean, I see it really sharply in my firefighter life. We don't get sleep, and there gets a limit. And if you don't get good sleep, you can see, I just see people just turning, because it's like they're just angry, they're easily tempered, they're short fused, and they don't have the patience for the patients. So it becomes an issue. But at some point you have to decide, my time off, what am I doing on my time off that I can adjust so that I can actually get quality sleep before coming into the firehouse and doing it all over again and not getting sleep. Sleep is, they're all really huge. We have to have water. Obviously, we can go without food and water for a very long time, but sleep, we can't. And, the way you breathe matters. If you're not diaphragm breathing, you're chest breathing. And if you're chest breathing, it's shallow and you're not actually getting oxygen to your brain. And then you're not thinking well. So all of these are, coincide together. They are kind of linked up and they have to be, but they're also separate. So you can work on one at a time, not have to tackle all of them at a time. And if I were going to tackle one, it would probably be water or breath, because it's mobile. You can't just sleep anytime you want. I know. Maybe tackle one of those 2 first, because you can breathe while you're driving or studying, or, have a mindfulness app that reminds you to, hey, how you breathing?
Yeah, it's definitely changed my life. And I know, Samaya, there's many people listening that the information you shared is changing theirs, which is so exciting. Before we wrap up, do you have a final quote or some final words of wisdom that you want to share with the audience?
Yes. One of my favorite people and one of my favorite quotes is from Nikola Tesla. And if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
And I have heard different renditions of that one, but I remember when I first heard it, it was actually a huge aha moment for me. I had to stop what I was doing and go, what? And the way I heard it was something along the lines, or maybe it's a slightly different quote from him, that the universe speaks frequency, not words. And for me, the reason that one really hit me was I felt like I was saying appropriate affirmations and positive affirmations and speaking words of kindness to myself. But what I realized was maybe the energy wasn't behind those words, right? Words only go so far, but there's an energy that's attached to them. And so personally, I can't wait to try out your free offer of scanning my voice and seeing what's going on that I may not be aware of. And so listeners, I'll have that link in the show notes below, as well as different ways to connect with Samaya. So I want to thank you so much for taking time out today and sharing a perspective that I think will be very, very meaningful and also so helpful for so many of my listeners.
Thank you so much, Heather. It's great to be here.
Thanks so much for listening. And if anything Samaya said today about using frequency to bring your body back into balance resonated with you, then I definitely encourage you to contact her. Between the recording of this episode and the editing process, I had an opportunity to have my voice scanned. I found it fascinating, and she has some other cool things going on, so those links will be in the show notes below. I'm looking forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Until then, if you're looking for more ways to invite joy in your journey, check out the free resources at expandyourhappy.com. You'll find downloads like an article I wrote titled The Doctoral Journey, 12 Things You Need to Know That They Probably Won't Tell You. You'll also find a PDF that organizes all podcasts by the 7 steps detailed in the Happy Doc Student Handbook, which you can also find on the website. Finally, if you're looking for a Happy Doc Student swag, I've got that too. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel, and if you want to make my day, rate and review so that together we can change the way doctoral education is delivered and experienced. Hey, one more thing. Just a quick reminder that the information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only.